Hey people, I'm going to try this camera out from this angle, that way I don't have to hold it. Maybe you guys can see a little bit better what's going on. At least we're going to try. What I'm going to try and do here is show you guys how I pin infinity models on their arms and stuff, because these guys are they're really nice models. They're really high detail, just beautiful models. But because they're metal and they're small, they've got these small joints, and this is actually a pretty good example. This is a good one. There's a lot of them that are worse, and by worse I mean they don't stay together real well. The joints, the glue, you put the super glue in, you glue them, and sometimes they can just fall over on the table and they'll break. So what I've found, what we do a lot is I have to pin these models. I have to pin all of the joints, pin all of the shoulders and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you guys how I do that, and hopefully this video is better to see than me trying to hold it. Okay, so I've got my Dremel here and I've got a small drill bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill into each of the arms, and as you can see on these arms here, they each have like a square joint that will go into kind of like a square ball and socket kind of joint on each of the arms. There's the one side, there's the other side, and as you can see on the arms here that we've got going, there they are. There's the socket, and this guy's a like a hacker for Neoterra hacker. See if I can show you the picture here. I don't know if this will show up. Oh, there we go, that guy. So this guy is the one that I'm going to be building. So I'm going to put his arms on for you here. So first things first, I've got myself a thin drill bit, and I'm going to drill into the arms a little ways. And let's see here. This might be out of the vision of the screen a little bit, but this is probably going to be really annoying on camera. I just realized that now that I've started doing it and you got to listen to that for 5 or 6 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera, drill the holes, and we'll come back and I'll show you after. Okay, so I drilled those holes. I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it there. Had to try and change the angle of my camera. It's still kind of a pain in the butt to put on to do a tablet on. So I need to figure out some sort of better apparatus that will accomplish this better. So anyway, there's the holes in the model itself, and then I have the holes for. Man, you're not seeing that good right there. See if we can get that better angle without the light. There you go. So there's the hole in one of the arms and the one in the other. The other arm there. Okay. It's almost like I have too much overhead light. But if I get rid of some of it, you can't really see then either. I don't know. It's a work in progress. Work in progress there. Okay. So I've got the models all cut and drilled, and then I take some of this thin green wire, oh man, I'm not sure where we buy it. It's like a crafting wire, kind of something like you would almost see out of let's see here. Let me show you the packaging we got. So I got a whole package of them. It's thin green little wire that's it's bendable but strong tensilely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the wire and just put it in the hole as far as I can go, as far as I've drilled it, and then I'm going to glue it using the accelerant, super glue and accelerant, and then once I've glued the one end in, then I'm going to take and snip it off and hopefully snip it off short enough, but still long enough to get the arm to fit on there nice and good, but a nice tight fit. Obviously, just pinning 101 kind of thing. But I definitely, like, anytime you have infinity models especially, like, I definitely just suggest that this is just standard operating procedure. Just, you know, if they've got separate arms, just pin them. That's a pain in the butt, but it's going to be so much better in the long run because it will stay together. You know, you get your paint job, I mean, you get your paint job all done and it's all nice and everything's wonderful and you're ready to play, and then bam, you knock one over when you're turning or something, or, you know, whatever, and, you know, now you gotta re-glue it, and the pin, you know, the paint job's all mucked up and it has to be redone, and it's just awful, especially if you get your models professionally done. You know, like, that's just an extra level of pain. So anyway, this is kind of a trial and error. You're seeing me, like, fit it, take a look at it, kind of study it, make sure that I'm getting the right, you know, getting it on there at the right angle. Is it going to glue to the joint the way it's supposed to, even without the pin, so that there's not really going to be a gap? But at the same time, is my pin fitting in there just fine? And, you know, those are kind of the things that you got to look at. And sometimes it takes some, you know, real fitting. Like, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife here, and we're going to take and kind of work at my socket here, and make sure that I don't have any leftover kind of junk from when I drilled past the socket into the arm further. Clear that all out, and just make sure that the arm will fit in there nice and good. And let's see, maybe I'm going to cut it down a little more. Cut the actual. Sometimes you have to cut the actual socket, the actual ball part, in this case square part, down a little bit, just to make sure that it's going to fit nice and good. A nice snug fit that doesn't have gaps when you go to glue it and paint and stuff. Clip this guy down just a little more. So, and one thing that happens is, you know, when you go and you put your actual pin in, sometimes your pin, like, the angle might be different. Like, you might have put it in at an angle that would mean that your arm and the socket that you've, you know, drilled isn't going to necessarily be the right angle that you've glued it in on. The joint won't fit right. So you need to make sure and be careful of that and be real aware. Like, you know, there's the saying, measure twice, cut once kind of saying. In this case, it's definitely, you know, put the socket on a couple times, make sure that, you know, it looks right when you're holding it there, because if you don't, I just totally bounced that piece off. Because if you don't, then you're gonna have to redo it. You have to look at it and go back and be like, oh, pull that arm off, change the socket, blah blah blah. So you want to make sure that it's where it needs to sit before you're like, okay, I'm good, I'm done. I'm gonna, you know, use my accelerant on my glue if I need to, and I don't even need to in this case because it's held on there by itself, just by the fact that I have a pin in it now. So I'll just let that sucker glue up and get the whole model going, and then give you guys another picture of that when the model's done, and you know, I'll go ahead and do the other arm off camera just to save you viewing time. But it's basically the same process, and I'm going to, you know, get the arm on there. Hopefully this was at least a decent attempt. Please send me critiques, comments. Still working on my camera, obviously. Still working on kind of get going here, get the videos, get a voice for the videos, kind of get a feel for what it is that I want to say when I make a video. But, you know, likes and shares are appreciated. Thank you. Alright guys, here is the whole model put together, and I just pulled that little backpack off his arm. Any of the joints that I don't have to use accelerant on, I tend not to, just because it's nicer to let it sit, let it glue on its own. That way the accelerant is great, but it will make the connection more brittle. I do suggest using accelerant, and especially if you're on a timetable, but in the case of any time that like you got a joint that just is going to be a pain in the butt to hold together. So even like these arms that I've now, like, this is what the arms look like with them pinned. They're on there. But even in that case, like, I use the accelerant afterwards so that I don't have to spend a bunch of time holding it. And sometimes just the nature of the joint, you're going to wait a long time to holding it together with your two fingers. So, you know, that's what the accelerant's good for. So anyway, here's the model put all the way together with the arms pinned. I'm going to do another video probably in the near future on pinning of a bigger model, so you guys can see that too. But anyway, pinning small models, definitely possible. You want some sort of green wire. This is the green wire here that I was talking about earlier in the video. I showed you the whole bundle. Anything you can find like that, it's perfect for pinning the small models. Nice small drill bit with your Dremel. You want to make sure that when you're using the Dremel, you go real slow, especially into metal. It heats up the metal, and it can break your drill bit easily. So nice and slow progress. You know, making sure that you pull out of the hole that you're creating to let the detritus, that's the word I want, out as often as possible. And yeah, just with small models and high detail like this, yeah, take your time. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed.